Hey everybody, this is Rich at Embarrassment of Riches, and I'm here to answer the 2025 vinyl tag that we are all answering in December of 2024. Regardless, I'm enjoying everybody's videos. Seems like a good time. Interesting list of questions, and I'm going to try to keep this as short as I can, even though I have sometimes multiple answers for a certain question. So I'll run through everything as quick as I can without a lot of blah, blah, blah. No promises, though. And heading right into the multiple answers for one question is the first one. We are asked to show our best purchases from 2024. All of my best purchases seem to happen while I was on vacation this year. First and foremost, when we were in Edinburgh, I picked up this original first press of Wish You Were Here in the original black shrink wrap steel. Show you a little leg there. Very happy to have this one, obviously. Super proud. And next up is two records that I was lucky enough to find when we were in Paris in April. First up is an original German Vertigo press of Black Sabbath's debut album. And everybody always wants to see the label for proof or whatever. And next is original first press Netherlands of Three Imaginary Boys. Two of my favorite records, and found them while I was in Europe. I thought that was pretty cool. So yeah, those are my favorite purchases of 2024. The next question we are tasked with answering is number 2. 50 years later on, the best album from 1974. I went in Discogs and found I didn't have as many from 1974 as I imagined I had, but the answer would still be the same regardless if I had 100 different records from 1974. It's The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway from Genesis. Anyone who sees this channel at all knows that I'm a huge Peter Gabriel fan, and I believe this was their best album. If you like this album and you want to hear it live and you haven't yet, check out the BBC, or it was the Genesis 1967 to 1975 CD box. Not on vinyl yet. There's a hint. But disc 5, I believe, has the Lamb Lies Down complete concert at LA, I believe at the Forum. Awesome sound. Just brilliant. I would love to have that on vinyl. But 1974's best album, in my estimation, Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. Number 3 asks us to show an album that defines a genre. I picked 2, and they're different genres. Number 1, first and foremost, is the Stone Roses' debut album from 1989. Everything that followed from Manchester was kind of a pale imitation of the great dance beats and the beautiful melodies. This one is one of my favorites. I've shown it on a number of videos. Never get tired of it. Thousands of times I've listened to this record, and I will listen to it 1,000 more, without a doubt. And the second part of my answer for an album that defines a genre is 1986 masterpiece from Eric B. and Rakim, Paid in Full. An acknowledged classic, and everybody should have this one in their collection. Absolutely my choice for the best hip-hop album of all time. Number 4 wants us to answer the best band from our home country. So this is asking me to name the best band that the United States has ever produced. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this one. Like I had said previously, I believe there's 10 to 20 bands I could pick for the best bands that came from America. I mean, there's Jane's Addiction, there's Tool. I'm obviously Southern California centric on a lot of these things, but argue with me that those aren't two of the greatest bands that America has ever produced. The Beach Boys are great. So to settle this, I just opened my phone and went to my favorites playlist that I import from my computer. And there's one band with more songs than anybody that's an American band. And it's the Beastie Boys. And I will stake my claim on that hill and die on it. This is Check Your Head, just one of their amazing masterpieces of albums that they produced. They never stopped innovating. They kept getting better. They never got lame. They grew as individuals. to become elder statesmen of punk rock and hip hop. And if it wasn't for the untimely early death of MCA, they'd probably still be making great music. So, yeah, best band that America ever produced. And number 5 asks us to name an artist that we miss dearly. 2 artists immediately came to mind, and I believe they died within a year of each other. Just tragic. It was a bad year. First up is Prince. Very, very sorely missed. And really, we need to see that documentary that they've been hiding, his estate. I'd really like to see that. This is a book from Wax Poetics. It's a reprint. It came out a couple of years ago, but they repressed it this last year, and it's very good, full of facts and figures and great photos. Second up, another terrible, terrible loss to anybody who loves music, and that is David Bowie. Just, yeah, the world is so much poorer for the loss of those 2 individuals and their style, their music, and their humanity. It's just not good. They're very, very missed. And number 6 wants us to show the best live album in our collection. I don't have any one favorite for this. There's just too many great sounding albums. And I left out the Allman Brothers. I left out a lot of really good stuff. But the stuff I have here is unassailably awesome. Bob Marley and the Wailers Live, 1975 masterpiece. And obviously, if you know me, the Smiths, Rank. It's hard to argue that this isn't a brilliant sounding concert. This is obviously a very, very well-tuned soundboard recording. Listen to it on the regular. And lastly, Rage Against the Machine, Live and Rare. A great, great album. A couple of songs on here don't sound all that great to me, but the ones that do absolutely capture the spirit of what it was like to see these guys in concert, man. They were a powerful, powerful group. And I hope anybody who wanted to had seen them because, yeah, they can't seem to get along long enough to carry on a tour for very long. I doubt they're coming back, man. They were so good. Number 7 is a fun one. It says, your partner just dumped you. What album are you putting on? Now, anybody who knows me knows that I listen to what most people would call sad music and get a lot of joy out of it anyway. I love the Smiths. I love The Cure. I love Depeche Mode. I don't find them to be sad. But if somebody was going to dump me, fuck, man, I haven't been dumped in 30 years. If someone was to dump me, I'd probably want to do the same thing that I ever did, was to find music that would make me feel better, not to wallow in sorrow. And Boingo Alive, obviously. You cannot be sad and wallow in self-pity when you're listening to Boingo Alive. Just too much positivity and too much fun. So yeah, if anybody's on the verge of getting broken up with, put this one in your collection and keep it handy. Why would you want to listen to music that makes you wallow in sorrow? I don't. Life is hard enough. Number 8, we need to show the best sounding drums on an album. That's tough. A lot of that would have to do with the producer, but found a couple that I believe that are unquestionable. First and foremost, Bob Ezrin, Roger Waters, and David Gilmour produced The Wall. Drums sound so good throughout this album, mic'd up perfectly. Next is, and much like Bob Ezrin, I picked producers who really know how to make drums sound incredible. Next up is Mutt Lange. You know the drums on this one kick your ass. Back in Black from AC/DC. The drums still sound super crisp and clean. And this was from, 1980? Yeah, this is great stuff right here. It was impossible for me to think about producers who get the best drum sounds out of the bands that they're recording without thinking of Brendan O'Brien. And I think all the great things he has recorded, I could pull out Stone Temple Pilots or Rage Against the Machine, but I think the cleanest punch of drums we're going to get from him as an example is on Vitalogy from Pearl Jam. 1994, good year for music and great sounding drums. All 3 albums. Number 9.
Number 9, Number 9
wants us to show our favorite artist who is in 2 or more bands. Easy one to answer. First and foremost, the great Daniel Ash from Bauhaus, Tones on Tail, and Love and Rockets, and the Bubblemen, too, I believe. You can count the Bubblemen. Brilliant, brilliant fellow. Great, great guitar player and songwriter. Next up is the mandolin maestro himself, Mr. Chris Steele, playing here with the Punch Brothers. Every single one of their albums is a great one. And he got his start with Nickel Creek, also a great band. Dude gets around. And really, if you ever get the chance, go and see the Punch Brothers in concert. They are so, so good. It's worth your money. And number 10 is Beatles or Stones. Come on, man. I mean, seriously. These dudes, all day, every day. Number 11 places us in the scenario that we have just found a bag of weed. What are we going to listen to? This one, I don't know, man, because you could find a bag of weed in a jar and keep it fresh. You could find a container of weed that's a prescription. It's Tropicana cookies. Or you could find an old prescription from when you were in New Jersey. It's in a clear plastic container. It's still good, actually. Or you can find an old prescription bottle that you stuck some nugs in that, I mean, yeah, they're still good. Or you could just use a cartridge for your vape pen. Regardless of the storage container or the delivery device, there are 2 albums that I've always loved to listen to when I'm really, really baked. First off, Equal Rights from Peter Tosh, one of his many classic albums. It could have been either this one or Legalize It or Mama Africa. Peter Tosh, always good stuff. And secondly, a sentimental choice, and one that many people probably wouldn't pick if they were fully high and wanted to listen to something. I love the pace of this record and how relaxed it sounds. And if you're already stoned, it's even better. Jim Croce, Photographs and Memories, Greatest Hits. Where is that pipe? Number 12 is a hilarious question. It wants us to choose an album from the 1980s that we still listen to. I can't even. I mean, so much of that stuff back there is from the 80s. I'll just go and pick one at random.
One eternity later.
This one was an easy pick because of the very recognizable spine. It really sticks out in the crowd. And it's Kick from NXS, 1987. One of the most brilliant albums ever made. This is the Rhino Audiophile Series Edition. Incredible. 2 LP at 45 RPM. Sounds so good and so big. This album was recorded very well in its initial state. It sounded great back then. And I have a couple original presses that do sound very good. But they can't hold a candle to this one. So yeah. One of the many, many, many albums from the 1980s that I still listen to. I could pick dozens. Number 13 wants us to pick an artist whose political stance has soured me. I am not, this sounds like a baited question to get you to talk about somebody just to start arguments with other people. Fucking politics. I'm not going to pick any artist. I've been disappointed in a few. But, let's see. Yeah. Will Smith. Not his politics, but him slapping Chris Rock. That really soured me on him because I do love Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, especially the first 2 albums. Solid. Dope hip-hop from the golden era of hip-hop. I haven't listened to anything on either of those albums since. It's not a conscious effort to, distance myself from something that I used to enjoy. I just can't do it. I mean, it's the same way I can't watch political humor right now just because of shit that's going on. Like, it's not as funny as it was before voting day, But that's just me. Any artist who is down for taking away rights from anybody else, I'm soured on them completely. Probably didn't like them fuckers in the first place anyway, if that's how they were. Number 14 wants us to show a favorite record label. I wasn't sure if this wanted us to show a record label company or the actual sticker applied to the record that's our favorite. I went with my favorite record company, or at least my favorite logo to see, and it's the same as it's ever been. It's the maroon Def Jam logo. Favorite logo to see in a store since I was 12 years old. Drew my attention, ran to it. Didn't change much when they went to the black label a couple of years later. Still means a lot, and love all of those early Def Jam recordings. Number 15 wants us to show a run of 3 great singles. And there's just too many bands that had streaks that were that good. Some had 3 and then just petered out. Some had much, much more than 3. I picked a couple from probably an obvious choice for anybody who knows me, but I think they're unassailably great. And they start with Suede Head from Morrissey, his first single after he left the Smiths. The first in a run of many, including Every Day is Like Sunday that came out after that. Moved along, things got even better with Last of the Famous International Playboys, probably my favorite Morrissey song of the classic run. It's so good. And I end with this one because even though there's more than 4, it really reached a zenith here, I think, with Interesting Drug. So there's a few singles for you, and to no one's absolute surprise that I picked Morrissey. I could have picked the fucking Smiths as well. They had a decent run of singles themselves, but I kept it to just this. On to number 16 that asks us to show a record from Record Store Day that we still consistently listen to. And I know that's a loaded question because there's a lot of records that some of us buy on Record Store Day. They get sleeved and shelved and never open. There's just not enough time or buyer's remorse or any number of excuses. I'm as guilty as others. There's some that the next day I didn't feel too great about, but they're in the collection. Ones that I do still play and love. Really, I think first and foremost is the BBC 82 to 84 Sisters of Mercy. Golden era for that band, and they really, not even a golden era, they got better after that because 87 they had Floodland, which is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. This one I had to pay premium after the Record Store Day prices because it wasn't at the local that I went to, I mean, it was on the top of the list that year. They didn't have it. I paid. I got it. And really, it's still selling for around, and sometimes even more than I paid for it. But I'm not giving this thing up. That's just not going to happen. And the next one, I believe, was the Record Store Day first. I don't know. It came to mind immediately. I could be wrong. But Whitey Ford Sings the Blues from Everlast. A great album. I mean, it was very popular when it came out because of what it's like. It had a couple of good, I think that was the only good single. But there are some great songs on this record, and I still listen to it. So, yeah, there's 2. I probably could have picked at least 5, but, yeah, 2. Number 17 says that we are reincarnated as any artist, dead or alive, that we would choose to be. I've never given that sort of thing any thought. I mean, famous singers have an interesting lifestyle and they get to have a lot of fun, but it seems like a lot of them have paid a heavy price. I don't know who I would pick. Maybe for the sheer joy that I still see in their creativity, and they've done it for so long and they're so interesting. I guess maybe Jack White. Oh, maybe Curtis Mayfield? Maybe Bob Dylan. He's had a hell of a life. Number 18 asks us, what are the best 3 lines in a song? Man, this is mad specific. I thought about this for a bit, and many, many came to mind. Another one that flashed to my mind was from Don't Go Back to Rockville by REM. And it's, at night I drink myself to sleep and pretend I don't care that you're not here with me. I think that's a pretty heartbreaking line right there, but a great song. Probably my favorite REM song. Nah, there's just too many, but yeah, those two. Number 19, an album that you never tire of. You're asking obsessed collectors to pick one thing. Like that's very tough, man. I don't even know. I'll have to take a stroll through here. I've thought about it for a bit, and there's just too many right now. I'll narrow it down. Okay, one that I never ever tire of. I've shown it earlier, and I've shown it multiple times because it's as true today as it was the first time I heard it in 1989. The Stone Roses debut album. So, so good. And the B-sides that were with the singles that came out at this time, they had such a long stretch of home runs, it was ridiculous. Never, ever tire of this record. 35 years on. Don't think I ever will. Number 20, share your favorite VC channel. Mine. Besides myself, though, like a lot of other people, I really enjoyed Dylan at Noble Records. My favorite friends in the vinyl community here, MGK Boston and Brian at Embryonic Robot, love everything that they do. Those are great, great guys. Those are all great channels that deserve your attention and subscription and your likes and comments, whatever. They do great stuff, and they post a fuck of a lot more often than I do, so there's a lot of things to watch. Do yourself a favor. If I'm mindful enough, I will leave links below, but you heard me. You can type it in the search field. Great stuff. So that is it. 20 questions asked and answered in vinyl. Now I got a fucking sloppy stack here on my desk that I got to try to file again. This is a nefarious thing to do to people, man. Making us want to participate in these vinyl tags that we drag out records. I got a stack here. Fucking. Anyway, it was fun, and I'm glad to be involved. Vinyl community is great, and here's thanking everybody for another great year of videos and conversations. Thank you very much. I am grateful, and I'll end this with something that I've said before. If you are watching these videos and do not have a channel of your own, don't be afraid. People want to hear what you're talking about. Give it a shot. Set up your phone, pick your favorite records, start your own vinyl tag, do whatever you want. Just join us, share your music, share your opinion, and enjoy the company. I always do. I'm very grateful. So here's to a great 2025 of vinyl hunting from all of us, for all of us. I'll see you guys next time. And next up is two that I got. An original Vertigo German. Fuck. Vertigo German. Wants us to find an. Part two of that answer is the record. And part two of an answer. Fuck. This one's still. Shit. Number 5 wants us to talk album. Fuck. I'm not blah 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 blah. I'm not sure if fuck.